Welcome back to my shop. If you caught my last video, you saw me take what was a large segmented bowl and split it into these two. And I did that because I did not like the shape that was at the bottom. Now, if you want to see that video before this one, I'm going to put a link in the description box down below the video and up here, so you can watch that first if you prefer. All right, now, I ended up with a small bowl that I quite like, and now I need to make a couple of rings to put on the bottom of here so I can redo this one and bring it around to a shape I prefer over what is here. So if you'd like to stick around, I'm going to show you how I put those rings together, get them put on this, and then turn it into, I hope, a nicer shape than what it was. So I better go make those rings. I hope you'll stick around. Alright, I'm using the adapter that I explained on that previous video. So if you want to take a look at that, feel free. And now I'm going to use hot glue for this one. I've had very good luck with hot glue, so it should be working just fine again. Alright, while that glue is curing, I'm going to go and get the floating disc ready to put in here. I have these dividers set to 5 1/4 inch. I'm going to be scribing with just the left leg and using the right leg to visually match up to make sure I get the right size. And this is to make the recess for this floating disc that I've made. I'm going to use walnut for the floating disc. Alright, now I want to make that recess just right on that line. Well, let's see if the opening is the right size. Yeah, that's going to be good. It's just enough so it will float. So now I'll just get the right depth. Doing the same process off camera, and I'll be back. I have this disc so it fits in here real nice now. It's centered so I can make sure that it's going to float. And it is in deeper than it needs to be because I'm going to use a sanding board to get all of this flush. And it's a lot easier to sand off this little bit than to have this protruding and try to sand the entire disc. Now I'm going to put a spot of glue just on the end grain, on each end, so that it's held there but the rest can float. I'm going to be using Tight Bond Regular. Let's get a dab on here, just a dab on there. I'll put it in, center it as well as I can. And now I'm going to bring up the tailstock with one of my threaded glue blocks and use that to hold it in there. I'll let that set up and I'll be back. I want to make sure that I don't get any glue into that gap between the floating disc and the ring. I don't want to take any chances that it's going to defeat the purpose of that ring, of that disc. Unfortunately, I can't see in there what's happening when I bring the other ring up. I have to put it on here and spread the glue a little bit. All right, and I'm trying to make sure that I have the joint between these two segments on the middle of this segment. All right, I'm going to just let that sit there, let the glue cure for at least an hour, and then I will be back. All right, that's almost perfectly flat, but I'm just going to use my sanding board, touch that up, and I'll be back for the next step. When I measure across here, I have just under a ½ inch for a gluing surface. The actual thickness of the wood, however, is measured 90 degrees to this slope. And that works out to 1/4 inch. So I can't take a whole lot off of here and preserve the integrity of the bowl. I'm going to be gluing this with Titebond Original again. And once more, I don't want to get too much glue on here. The inside and the outside are both already finished. So I'm going to just use, hopefully, just enough. I don't want to overdo it, although I know I'm going to have some go on both the outside and the inside of the bowl. I'd like to keep that amount down as much as I can. Oh man, that glue grabs quickly. I want to line up this with this line. Now that should have spread the glue enough. I'm just going to tighten this up real good. Let it sit there for a while, and I'll be back. All right, I guess now it's time to start the turning. I'll do the inside, and I'll reverse this into my cold jaws again. Remove the hot glue to get rid of the glue block, and then turn the outside. I'll get my turning smock on and start the turning on the inside. My main concern now is going to be whether there was actually enough glue between these two rings. I cannot see any squeeze out here, and I can't see any significant squeeze out on the outside. I did use very little glue, so I guess now we'll find out whether there was enough. I will start turning away this ring and slowly move my tool rest in as I am able to do. Right now there's quite a large gap between the tool rest and this area. So this is probably going to take a little while. I will likely speed this video up so as not to bore you too much, but there will be some real-time turning. Well, I'm pleased with the cuts that I've got so far. Now it's going to be just a matter of trying to get in there and make this round at the end of the segments. Also finding I can't really get my tool rest in there any closer anyway, because it's too deep and it's hitting the post on the banjo. All right, I'm not going to do any better than that. So now I'm going to get in here and I'm going to sand this. I'll do that off camera. Sanding's rather a boring procedure. And then I'll be back when I reverse this into the coal jaws to do the outside. Well, I'm pleased with how this came out. I sanded from 80 grit up to 320. And then I used the same finishing technique that I used in part 1. I didn't see any purpose in showing the whole thing again, but to quickly tell you, I used sanding sealer, then Axe abrasive paste, and Axe polish restoring paste. And I think this is just gorgeous. So now I'm going to reverse this into the coal jaws and do the outside. But it's late in the day and I'm going to call it quits, and I will be back in the morning. I hope you'll still be here. I have these dividers set to 5 5/8 of an inch. And so I am now down to that right in this area. And I can't go a lot thinner because you may recall that I have a 5 1/4 inch recess for that floating disc. Also, I can't come down here much further because I'm starting to hit the hot glue and I don't want to remove all of that and have this fly across the shop. So I'm going to sand this now. I'll admit it's not quite the shape I want, but I can't go much thinner in here. So I'll sand this off camera and I'll be back after I reverse this. Well, I've sanded this to 320 grit, and before I can reverse this, I want to take this glue off, and I'm just going to pour some all the way around here, let it sit for a few minutes, and then that hot glue should release. So I'll just soak this real well, and I'll be back after a few minutes. All right, time to see if this glue is going to let go. It's just been 2 or 3 minutes. Usually that's enough. It appears to be coming off. Oh yeah, no problem. All right, I'm going to take another minute to completely remove this. Might not take that long. It's really coming off of there easily now. All right, perfect. Okay, I'm going to reverse this back into the coal jaws and I'll be back. All right, I've sanded this to 320 grit. I remeasured after I reversed it. I can do a more accurate measurement here, and this is actually 5.5 inches in diameter. And with the recess for the floating disc being 5.25, that means I've got 1/8 of an inch on each side. So that's pretty close. I'm not going to go any more than that. Now I just want to trim this off, take it down a little closer to that floating disc. All right, it's going to be sitting just on the outside. I just need to take my parting tool now and clean this up a little bit. All right, I'm just going to sand this off camera, use my pyrography to put my signature and the year in here, although most of it was done a long time ago. And I'll be back to show you the results after I've got all the finish on. Well, all right, it's finished again. I did some pyrography work, just putting my signature, and I put 2020 and 2022, which might just confuse some people who haven't seen this video. I do like it much better than it was before. It still has that OG shape, I went with that again, but it's much, much shorter in here, and to me, it just looks better that way. So, I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button, let me know I'm doing something right. Maybe share this out there, that would help a lot growing my channel. And leave a comment if you like. I like reading your comments. I'll try to reply to all of them. And between now and next time, when I hope you'll come in again, have a great day in your shop and be safe. And remember, you're always welcome in my shop. Take care now. Bye-bye.